Hey! Watch your back, he's got his hand in your pocket. The shout sliced through the cold evening air like a blade. People turned. One didn't. A tall man in a dark trench coat spun around just in time to see a hooded figure disappear into the crowd. His coat fluttered open, revealing a platinum watch and a leather briefcase clutched close to his chest. Behind him, a small figure stood soaked, hoodie clinging to his thin frame, sneakers squishing with every step. That was Leo. The man blinked, breath visible in the frigid mist. You talking to me? Leo nodded, chest rising with adrenaline. Yeah. That guy behind you, he was reaching into your pocket. I've seen that move before. The man stepped aside, checking his coat. Nothing was missing. But he looked at Leo now, really looked. Not like you'd look at a random kid in Midtown. Like you'd look at someone who just changed your night. You always yell at strangers, the man asked, a faint trace of amusement behind his crisp voice. Leo shrugged. Only when they're about to get robbed. For a second, they just stood there. The man straightened up, brushing water off his lapel. Leo glanced around. Everyone had already moved on. Cars honked. Neon reflected in puddles. Do you live around here? The man asked. Leo pointed vaguely north. Bronx. But I walk down here on Thursdays. Flyers for Antonio's Pizza. $10 a night, plus a slice. You walk all that way for $10. Leo looked him square in the eyes. It's more than zero. There was a pause, a long one, where the man didn't answer. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a wallet, and extended a crisp bill. Leo immediately stepped back. No, thanks. You just saved me from losing this, the man said, patting the briefcase. Leo shook his head. I didn't do it for cash. So why did you do it? Leo's eyes narrowed. Because no one else was gonna say something. And with that, he turned and started walking, shoes slapping the wet pavement. Wait, the man called out. What's your name? Leo, the boy shouted without turning. Leo Ramirez. Back inside a black SUV idling at the curb, the man opened his phone. The contact on the screen read, Vincent Hale. Cancel dinner, he said into the speaker. Why, sir? I just met someone more interesting. The morning after the rainy evening felt no different for Leo. Same cracked ceiling. Same cold kitchen tile against bare feet. Same half-empty box of cereal on the table next to a folded-up pizza flyer. The Bronx didn't glow after you saved a stranger. It stayed gray. His mom, Maria, was already in scrubs, sipping lukewarm coffee and digging through her tote for her Metro pass. You're quiet, she said, not looking up. Leo poked at his cereal. Just tired. Late shift again. He hesitated. Something like that. She paused, looked at him for a moment longer than usual, then smiled. Eat. And if you're walking again today, don't forget your scarf. He nodded, but his mind was already back in Midtown. Back to that moment, the shout, the man's eyes, the soaked coat. And most of all, the name. Vincent Hale. He had Googled it the second he got home, borrowing the phone charger from his neighbor. The results had been jaw-dropping. Founder of Hale Capital Group. Real estate magnate. Angel investor. Billionaire. The man Leo yelled at in the rain was on the cover of Forbes last year, giving away half his wealth through a foundation no one in the Bronx had ever heard of. Leo shook his head. Why would someone like that remember a kid like him? By 3 p.m., the day had returned to its usual rhythm. School had ended. Leo was halfway through his pizza flyer stack when he heard the hum of an engine slow down beside him. A sleek black SUV. Tinted windows. Quiet tires. The kind of car that didn't belong on his block. The back window rolled down. A man in a suit, not Vincent, but close, leaned out. Leo Ramirez. Leo froze. Mr. Hale would like to see you. Leo blinked. He what? He'd like to thank you. Personally. Leo looked around. The sidewalk was cracked, two boys played soccer with a crushed bottle, and someone yelled out of a fifth-floor window about laundry. I gotta ask my mom. We already called her. She said if you're back by 6, it's okay. Leo's mouth opened. Then closed. 15 minutes later, Leo stepped out of the SUV into another world. Glass walls. Valet parking. A man in a vest opened the door like he was royalty. And then, elevators that whispered instead of dinged. Top floor, said the driver. The elevator whooshed upward. Leo watched the numbers tick past. 42, 55. 71, then, PH. When the doors slid open, a wave of warm air scented with cedarwood and something expensive hit him. A vast room opened up, wall-to-wall windows, modern furniture, a fireplace the size of a bus stop. And there, standing by the window, was Vincent Hale. He wasn't in a trench coat now. He wore a navy blazer, no tie, and a quiet kind of presence that filled the room like music. You came, Vincent said. Leo hesitated. You sent a car. Vincent chuckled. True. He walked over and offered his hand. Leo took it awkwardly, unsure if this was real. Sit, Vincent gestured to a leather chair. You hungry? A little. Moments later, a tray appeared, sliders, fries, soda, even a milkshake. Leo blinked. You remembered the pizza. Vincent smiled. I remember everything. They sat in silence for a moment while Leo devoured half a slider. I looked you up, Leo mumbled between bites. You're kinda a big deal. Vincent leaned back. Only to people who read headlines. Leo stared at him. So why me? I didn't do anything crazy. You did what no one else did, Vincent said. You saw something wrong, and you acted. That's rare. Especially in this city. Leo shrugged. Felt like the right thing. Exactly. Most people wait for permission. You just did it. Vincent stood and walked to a shelf. He picked up a small photo frame. This was me at your age, he said, handing it to Leo. The boy in the photo was skinny, wide-eyed, holding a bag of groceries in one hand and a library card in the other. I grew up in East Flatbush, Vincent said. We had nothing. But I had people who saw me. Who pushed me. That made all the difference. He turned back to Leo. You deserve someone like that too. Leo blinked. Are you saying? I'm offering you a scholarship. Full ride. Any school you want, any summer program. My foundation will cover it. And if you want to intern here when you're older, just say the word. Leo's mouth hung open. Vincent continued, and one more thing. He pulled a small envelope from his pocket. This isn't payment. It's belief. Inside, a check. Leo didn't even want to say the number. I can't. Yes, Vincent said firmly. You can. Because I can. As the sun dipped behind the skyline, Leo stood again in the elevator, this time descending, holding the envelope, the burger box, and something much heavier, hope. When he stepped back onto the Bronx sidewalk, his best friend Darius ran up. Bro. Who were those people? Was that a limo? Leo just smiled. No man, it was something better. The next week felt like a dream Leo didn't want to wake up from. The check from Vincent Hale was still untouched, hidden in the cereal box behind the sink, where even his nosiest cousin wouldn't look. His mom knew only the basics, a scholarship opportunity, and a nice man from Midtown. Leo promised to explain more later. Every evening after school, a car came for him. Not a limo this time, but a sleek, quiet sedan. It drove him to an after-school mentoring program run by the Hale Foundation, a place filled with bright walls, tech labs, quiet music, and people who actually listened when Leo spoke. He had a new laptop. A notebook full of questions. And for the first time, Leo started to think in futures. Not just getting by. Not just the next shift or the next meal. But colleges. Plans. Building things. Being someone. Until the test came. It started small, like most storms do. One afternoon, Leo was walking past the corner store when he spotted two older boys from his building. Marco and Trey. They weren't bullies, exactly. But they weren't friends either. Marco whistled. Look who's all corporate now. Trey snorted. Leo with the briefcase. Did they give you a desk yet, Harvard? Leo laughed it off. Just a laptop. And a decent chair. He kept walking, but they followed. You still living in the same place? Marco asked, low. Leo frowned. Why? Trey leaned in. Because I heard your new friend, Mr. Rich Guy, owns half the buildings around here. Leo stopped. What? Vincent Hale, Marco said slowly. Your guy. He's the one kicking people out of the old Lotman complex. Raising rents. My cousin's mom got notice last week. Leo's chest tightened. I didn't know that. Marco nodded. Well, now you do. Trey grinned. You better make sure your mom's not next. The words hit harder than Leo expected. That night, back in his room, he scrolled through news articles. Hale Capital had indeed acquired several buildings in the Bronx. Some tenants complained of raised rents. Others praised renovations. It was all complicated. But the worst part? He didn't know what to believe anymore. The next day, Leo arrived at the foundation. He didn't smile as wide. Didn't answer questions with the same fire. Vincent noticed. You're quieter today, he said, pouring them both tea in the lounge. Leo hesitated. Can I ask you something? Anything. Leo swallowed. Do you raise rents on people? Kick them out of buildings you buy? Vincent looked at him for a long moment. Yes, he said calmly. Sometimes. Not always. And never without options. Leo's throat felt dry. But why? Vincent stood, walked to the window, and gestured for Leo to join him. See that skyline? He asked. Towers, cranes, lights. People think they're permanent. They're not. Cities change. Always. He turned to Leo. But you know what's worse than change? Decay. Letting buildings rot. Letting people stay in homes that fall apart because no one will fix them. I invest to rebuild. And yes, sometimes, that comes at a cost. Leo looked down. Vincent added softly, but I never do it blindly. Or without care. Which is why I need people like you around, to remind me what the numbers can't. Leo met his eyes. You're saying. I should speak up. I'm saying, Vincent said, you already did. And that's why I trust you. 2 days later, Leo was back near his building when he spotted Marco again, angry, pacing, holding a crumpled letter. Leo walked over. What happened? They jacked our rent. 17%. My mom's crying. We're screwed. Leo bit his lip. Then did something unexpected. Give me the letter, he said. I'll talk to someone. Marco narrowed his eyes. You serious? Leo nodded. Dead serious. That evening, Vincent looked at the letter, then at Leo. She lives in Hale-managed property? Leo nodded. She works nights. Never complains. They need help. Vincent didn't blink. Consider it handled. A week later, Marco's mom received a letter of exemption. Her rent would remain unchanged for 12 months while her unit underwent repair. She also got a job interview, as a front desk assistant for one of Hale's new buildings. When Marco found Leo later, he didn't say thank you. He just clapped him on the shoulder and muttered, "You're all right, Harvard." And that was enough. The rain washed his hoodie, but it couldn't hide who he was becoming. Because real success doesn't come from a check, it comes from choices. From speaking up, even when it's hard. And from knowing when silence costs more than courage.
Thank you for listening to this story. If it moved you a bit, leave something, write a comment, like the video. It helps us grow the channel and create more stories. See you in the next story from Stories for Each Day.